Namaskar and welcome again to Planet to Soul Astrology. So, friends, today I have a big surprise for all of you, and there is a very esteemed guest with us today on Planet to Soul Astrology, and I'm very obliged that he is on my channel. He's none other than Mr. Dennis Harness, Shri Dayanand Swamiji. He's a humble soul. I met him in Sedona last year, and I happened to attend the Sedona Vedic Astrology Conference in 2018 last year, and it was outstanding, totally knowledgeful, bucket full of different esteemed astrologers were there, and I'm really surprised that in USA also, that also in Sedona, such a wonderful seminars, or you can say conference, are being organized. So I'll just give a brief introduction about Shri Dennis ji. Basically, he is a family man with three children, and one of her daughter is a very good singer. So first, I have to tell that. So being a family man, still he is so much interested in Jyotish Shastra that last 27 years he is into Jyotish community, and he's trying to just coordinate the modern astrological techniques also, which are Western astrology, you can call it as. He's also a PhD in psychology. He told me, but I'm sorry, I forgot the first word. Counseling psychology. He is a PhD in counseling psychology, and he was a president of American College of Vedic Astrology. Now he's no more connected to it, but he's one of the founder member of that college. And sir, this is really a great honor for me, for all the viewers of Planet to Soul channel, that you are here on this channel. Also, friends, this special video is regarding inviting you all for the Sedona Vedic Astrology Conference, which is going to happen this year from 21st of November 2019 to 25th of November 2019. Lines are open for the registration. The link will be given in the description box below. So after seeing this video, you all can just register, whoever are wishing to meet the gigantic personalities in astrology. And I will invite Shri Dennis ji to talk more about this conference, and he is also going to share the knowledge regarding outer planets, which he is going to speak in the conference. So he will also speak something about outer planets also. So, sir, welcome to my channel, and namaste.
Namaskar. Thanks so much, Sunilee.
Okay, so, sir, first tell us about the Sedona Vedic Astrology Conference, which is going to happen this year, and I'm really very excited to attend it. And thank you for keeping my session also this year. So yeah. I'm just preparing for that.
Okay, well, I really feel grateful for you to invite me on your program and to really talk about the conference, because it is very special. I've been in Sedona 25 years, and coming to Sedona is magical in itself. It's a very spiritual place. One teacher from India, Karunamai, she called Sedona Siddhadona, the land of the rishis. So there's a nice Native American Indian vibe here. So it's like the Western Indians get to meet the Eastern Indians, you know, because we have so many people that come from India and come from, it's kind of really an international conference, because we have people coming from Europe and Australia and India and Japan. So, and it's usually around 200 people. So it's a nice size. It's not too big, not too small. And I think a lot of the learning goes on through the interaction between the people, sometimes outside of the classes. And that's what's beautiful about coming to a conference. where, you know, webinars are great, but you don't get that full interaction that you do in person, which I think is, you know, one of the unique features of a conference just in general. This year, we have a number of great Vedic astrologers coming to the conference, including you. And Camilla Sutton is one of the astrologers that'll be speaking. And Camilla is from India. She was actually an actress in Mumbai back in the 70s. She was fairly famous. Her name was as Camilla Work. So people can Google her, W-I-R-K, and find out about that part of her life. But Camilla's going to be speaking on Jupiter. She's going to do
airplane mode, so I can't help.
She's going to be doing an all-day conference on Jupiter, and Jupiter, you know, is the great benefic. And Camilla is going to be speaking on that on Thursday, Jupiter Day. So I think it's really appropriate. And she'll also be speaking on Rahu and Ketu in the Vargas, in the divisional charts, which is one of her specialties. So besides Camilla, we have Joni Petrie, and Joni's from Dallas, Texas, and she'll be speaking on speaking on the opening night on predictions for 2020, and she'll also do an all-day intensive on the moon. Because she's got a new book coming out on, I think the title of it, let me see here. The title of it is of her book, I think, and her all-day intensive is The Moon, Mind, and Consciousness. So that'll be brilliant to hear her speak. And she's going to also be talking about predictive techniques using transits on the weekend. So Joni will be with us. And we also have, for the first time, Alan Anand coming to speak. And Alan's from Toronto, Canada. He is one of the main students of Hart Defoe, who wrote the book Light on Life. And I've heard Alan speak just recently at a conference in January, and he's got a new book out, and he'll be doing an all-day intensive on Kalasarpa Yoga. So, yeah, so that's going to be brilliant for people. There's a number of us, including me, that have Kalasarpa Yoga.
I'm very much interested in actually Sarpa doshas. So
yeah.
There are many misunderstandings also. So I hope this will be a fantastic session indeed.
Yeah. So it's great that he's going to be doing that, and he's also on the weekends going to be doing a 2.5-hour lecture on Parivartana yogas, on mutual reception between the planets. So we really welcome Alan to come this time. One of the president of the American College of Vedic Astrology, Charlotte Benson, is going to be doing a 2-hour introduction to Vedic astrology on Thursday night for people that are new to Vedic astrology, or they want to brush up on some of the techniques and some of the basic skills, so that they can really appreciate more of the conference. So we have that going on Thursday night as well. We also have, in terms of intensives, besides Joni Petrie, we have James Braha coming this year. And James wrote the groundbreaking book, Ancient Hindu Astrology for the Modern Western Astrologer. And he's going to do an all-day workshop on basically, how to interpret a chart. But he's going to go in depth into horoscopy analysis. And then on the weekend, he's going to talk about techniques that he wished he would have known 40 years ago, because he's been doing Vedic astrology for 40 years. And so he's absolutely brilliant. He's very great speaker, and he's very funny. He's very humorous. I call him the Woody Allen of Vedic astrology. He's got a great sense of humor. So we have him joining us. And then also Mas Vidal is going to do a workshop, an all-day workshop on the integration between Ayurveda and Jyotish. So that'll be on Friday, an all-day intensive. And then finally, Swami Samavedula is going to do a all-day workshop on the mantras from the Rig Veda. So he's an expert pundit, and so he's going to be doing that. And then on Monday, we have also some all-day intensives. We have one of our speakers is Sam Jeppy, and Sam is, a great Jyotishi. And he'll be speaking on, let me get the exact title of his all-day intensive. Yeah, Sam's going to be speaking on applied Tajika astrology and Varshapal, using it in Varshapal and Prashna. So that's a very more intermediate workshop. And then we have also Andrew Foss, who's going to be talking about finding the right dasha system, what every astrologer needs to know. And Andrew is the president of the British Association of Vedic Astrology. So Andrew's one of our brilliant scholars too, and he's got a software system and quite an amazing soul.
Yeah.
And then finally, Jeffrey Armstrong is going to be doing an all-day workshop on how to become a better karma mechanic. The secrets of cause and effect for Jyotishis. So those are some of the featured faculty. And then we have people like yourself that are going to be speaking also on the weekend. I thought, Sunilee, maybe you could talk a little bit about your class that you'll be teaching on spirituality and moksha.
Yes. So on Monday morning, 8 to 9, the time has been given, but you have extended the time for me specifically. So I'll be speaking on spirituality. Is spirituality moksha? Because many of us and many people think that only spirituality, going after the spirituality or just doing the sadhana, that means that we will get the moksha, but it is not so. So in my session, I will be discussing about the yogas of doing the sadhana or doing the spirituality, right? And also in my session, I will be talking about D20 chart particularly, that is Vishmansha chart, and how to correlate the spirituality with D9 chart also. Because D9 chart basically decides the spiritual, D9 is the tree, we can say. It's a spirituality tree. And D20 is the which deity we have to follow or what depth you will go into spirituality. That we can decide after seeing the D20. I'll be also giving some specific mantras to people for moon, Surya, from our Shastras, one-line mantras, which are very, very powerful mantras to chant, which are beneficiary to each and everyone. So really, I'm very much looking forward for this conference. And as I said that last time, it was really wonderful meeting you all. And again, I'm wishing to meet you all. So I again wish you that this will be a fantastic conference. This is going to happen. This will be a successful, and because you are a good soul, so always divinity, divinity is bigger than anything else. So in Sedona, I found divinity. That is why I'm coming there again. As you said, it is a spiritual place. So here, when I talk to some of my friends that I have been to Sedona, so few people told me, so, oh, so you have been to the pilgrimage of America. In this way, they talk to me. So now here in India, we go to Pandharpur, like we go to different temples, or Kashi we go, Kashi Vishwanath. So same way, his reaction was that only. Oh, really? You been to Sedona? I'm just curious to go there, and you are so lucky that you have been there. So I was like feeling very much proud, So, oh, I have been to Sedona. So, and really, not about that, but it is really a very pious and very peaceful place. So, that is why maybe I happen to get the visa also and happen to keep my food first in Sedona only.
Yeah, I was going to ask you that question because I know with Donald Trump being the president, there's challenges with some people getting their visa. Particularly, we had a couple of people from Iran that couldn't get their visas.
Yeah.
And I was just curious, is there seem to be much problem getting visas, coming from India? I wouldn't think so.
No, no, not at all. I applied for the first time and
Hmm.
I applied family visa. First attempt, we got the visa. This
Great, great.
very
Yeah,
simple.
because I send a nice confirmation letter and a hotel brochure, and so hopefully I thought that would help in
Yes,
terms of getting your visa. So that's fantastic. And, I wanted to say about the conference too, that there's going to be 30 faculty there, 30 presenters. So it's quite something, there's several classes going on at once, which is a challenge, because you want to go to all three, at the same time. So we actually record the conference too. So we have audio recordings and even some video recordings of speakers, but we do audio recordings of all the classes. And then the other special thing about the conference is we have a yoga room where there's yoga classes going throughout the whole conference. So even if you bring a partner and that maybe is not into astrology so much, they can participate maybe in a little bit of the astrology classes, but also be doing the yoga classes and the mantra classes and meditation classes. So there's something for everyone, really. And the Native American Indians, they never lived in Sedona. They lived on the outskirts because, as you're saying, this was their pilgrimage site. This
Yes,
is where they would come to do their sacred ceremonies. So they didn't want to domesticate the sacred shrine.
yes.
I consider Sedona kind of the true Vanamalai of the West.
That one, everybody must visit Sedona. Really, I am of that opinion because the beauty, the divine beauty is there. Apart from all material things, when you happen to be there, really you regain your energy. And really, when I came back to India, it was really a new feeling for me. I felt something good. So that is why again I plan to come there. So, Mr. Dennis, as you are going to speak about outer planets, so please tell us that what all things you are going to share and tell us something about outer planets too.
I had to say there's one person that I felt that I wanted to acknowledge that's going to be at the conference is my wife.
Oh,
And Laura, it ties into what you've been talking about, Sunilee. She's going to be speaking again on this exploring Sedona's secret landscapes. So she's going to be talking about how there is the chakras associated with the vortexes of some of these power spots in Sedona. So she's going to give an overview and a beautiful PowerPoint presentation on the sacred places of Sedona. So it kind of orients people to it, because I would recommend, if you do come all the way, particularly from India, and from anywhere for that matter, it's good to come in a couple of days early or stay a couple of days later. So, because one of the greatest things about Sedona is getting out on the hiking trails.
yeah,
And some of the trails are very easy, very user-friendly, and you can go to these sacred sites. Some of them are a little bit more arduous, but depending on your level of hiking ability, there's something for everyone. So I just wanted to acknowledge my wife, because she does a great presentation.
yes, yes. Definitely. Looking forward for sacred points. That will be very helpful for everybody. This is really a wonderful idea, and again, I'm just getting more and more encouraged that when I'll be again visiting the place. So really, this is very fantastic. So tell us more about your whatever you are going to talk about the outer planets, and please tell us.
Yeah, the title of my talk is The Outer Planets, a Neo-Vedic View, because I consider myself a Neo-Vedic astrologer. And what I mean by that is what you were mentioning, is that even though 90% of my work is just kind of pure Jyotish, 10% I use techniques from other systems of astrology. And one of the things that's used, of course, in modern Western astrology is the use of the outer planets, which are Uranus, Neptune, and Pluto. And I'll talk a little bit about the meaning of each of the three. But the main thing is that I think that even, well, what happened to me is, to be honest, I was given kind of a criticism about using the outer planets by some people that are very purist. And I understood what they were coming from, where they were coming from. Because as my teacher, Chakrapani Ulal, would say, you have to be careful using other techniques because you can create goulash. You know? You mix things too much. But again, getting back to the outer planets, I had always used them because I started out as a Western astrologer. That was my background for probably a decade. And then I've been studying, Jyotish since, well, basically 1980 was when I was introduced to Vedic astrology through actually Chakrapani Ulal. And he was Swami Muktananda's astrologer. And but anyway, when I asked him about the outer planets, he kind of said, I don't know because I've never studied them. So he was not so critical of them. It's just that he didn't use them in his practice. But anyway, I was given some challenge with it, to be honest, and it was always something that I felt a little bit embarrassed about. But then at a conference back in, I think it was, 1995, and I started doing conferences back in 92. And we actually had B.V. Raman come to our first conference. Dr. Raman, he initiated the conferences back in 92. But in 1995, I went to another conference in Washington, D.C. area. And there was a teacher there, a Jyotishi from India named Narendra Desai. I don't know if you've ever heard of Narendra, but he was a great Vedic astrologer back in the 90s, 80s and 90s. He lived in New Jersey, but he was originally from India. And he gave a talk on the use of the outer planets. And it was really interesting because it was the first time I'd seen an astrologer from India mention the outer planets. And this was a very healing experience for me because I felt justified more in using the outer planets by Narendra's grace and his blessing, And he told me of an ancient palm leaf, a nadi palm leaf that they discovered in Chennai, India, in Madras. And this palm leaf was in the museum there in Chennai. And on the palm leaf was written that there would be 3 planets discovered. And the names of the planets were given as Prajapati, Varuna, and Yama. And what I've found in my research, and we'll talk about a little bit more in detail here in a minute, is that Prajapati related to the planet Uranus in my estimation. And Varuna, the Lord of the Waters, represents to me Neptune in modern Western astrology. And then finally, Pluto is connected with Lord Yama because Pluto is the planet of death and rebirth in Vedic astrology, in Western astrology. And of course, Lord Yama is the god associated with death and when we pass to the other planes. So this connection was really valuable for me. And I wrote an article which actually people can access free on my website, DennisHarness.com, on Pluto, specifically focusing on Pluto. And it was published in the Mountain Astrologer back in around 2002. But anyway, the article's on my website. You can download it and print it out. So anyway, getting back to the outer planets, the first one that I wanted to talk about was Uranus. And Uranus is a very unpredictable energy. It's very creative energy. I connect Uranus with the Greek myth of Prometheus. And if you remember that Greek myth, Prometheus was the one that brought fire to earth, brought change, brought innovation, which Prajapati is a creator god as well. So there's that connection between the two. I also relate Uranus to Rahu, to the north node of the moon, Rahu, because Rahu is also, can be very unpredictable energy. And it's almost to me like an electrical storm sometimes, you know, Rahu. I'm running Rahu Dasha. And so I thought about starting a Rahu support group for all of us. You know, it's kind of like Rahu Anonymous, you know, we're all in divine recovery. So I associate Rahu with Uranus, the planet Uranus. It's actually interesting. I was at a conference in London that was put on by Andrew Foss and Camilla Sutton for the British Association of Vedic Astrology. And Camilla took us to a temple there in North London for Mars, for Kartikeya, for Murugan, temple for Mars. And we went in and they had a Navagraha shrine of the 9 planets. And it was so interesting because I was going to give a talk on the outer planets at this conference. And I was feeling, again, a little bit embarrassed or ashamed that, well, am I creating goulash by giving this talk? So I saw on the shrine, Sunilee, there was a card with the planet Rahu, and it said Uranus. There was a little placard right by the shrine of Rahu in the Navagraha shrine.
Oh, really?
And so I thought, oh my gosh, this is really interesting that someone else sees this connection. So then I went on and I looked at the other planet, K2. And K2 had a little card on it and it said Neptune. So I associate K2 with Neptune because K2 is very mystical, very otherworldly. It's the Moksha Karaka planet, as you know, the planet of spiritual liberation. And Neptune in Western astrology has some of the similar features of this mysticism, metaphysics, psychology, hidden knowledge, hidden wisdom. So it was really interesting that this shrine had the connection with Neptune, with K2, and then Rahu with Uranus.
Yeah.
So this kind of validated my feelings about these planets. So it's very interesting that this would happen synchronistically at a time when I was giving this lecture in a couple of days at the British conference. So that was kind of, to me, serendipity around this energy of studying these outer planets. Now, finally, Pluto, I kind of think of Pluto because Pluto is this planet of transformation and, as I said, death, rebirth. It's kind of like a bulldozer planet. Wherever it is in the chart, which right now Pluto is in late Sagittarius.
Yes.
And it's conjoined, you know, with Saturn and with K2. So this conjunction, triple conjunction, especially if people have planets around 26, 27 degrees Sagittarius, is a very strong, it can be good for spiritual growth, but I think on the domestic plane or on the outer planes, it's tough. It's a rough road for people that have, you know, planets around that time. So it's good to really focus on your spiritual life, I think, during this transit of those 3 planets together. But anyway, getting back to Pluto, I think of Pluto as kind of a combination of Rahu and Ketu, because it has this real intensity that Rahu can have, but it also has the spirituality, the moksha, the death, the loss of this world, but going on to the next. So it has the combination, I think, of both planets, of the Chaya Grahas, the shadow planets, Rahu and Ketu. So what I primarily look at in a chart with these outer planets is if there's conjunctions with your natal planets or hard aspects to the natal planets, like a square or an opposition, then I see these energies kind of being manifested more fully in the person's chart. I don't emphasize it a lot unless usually more really, to tell the truth, I use it more if there's conjunctions. So for example, a Uranus conjunct the ascendant, the person may have a very inventive nature. They may be, as I call it, have divine restlessness.
Yeah.
They may get bored very easily. They are bringers of change, bringers of, again, innovation. It can indicate a very sensitive nervous system when Uranus is on the ascendant. So these are some of the things that I look at. And again, Uranus with Mercury, for example, would again indicate a very strong inventive mind, but again, a very sensitive, maybe Vata kind of quality that the person may have in terms of Ayurveda, where they're very sensitive to the energies. Now, Neptune, again, if it's on the ascendant, it's a little bit like Ketu. So the person may feel a little bit like a stranger in a strange land. You know, they may feel a little bit very otherworldly, you know. It's almost like, oops, wrong planet, you know, where they may feel sometimes disconnected with this world and live in another world. So they can be a little bit spacey, a little bit, you know, unique in their sense of, how would we put it? They may feel like they have tomorrow's skills for today's world. So again, very psychic ability, very intuitive ability, a lot of interest in spirituality, higher consciousness. Sometimes in modern Western astrology, Neptune is connected with drugs or alcohol or addictions. So people with Neptune, for example, on the ascendant or conjoined the moon, for example, they may need to be very careful about addiction issues with drugs or alcohol, or even sometimes prescription drugs, or even sensitivities to food. So they feel things. They're very much the empaths, where they feel other people's energy very strongly. So they need to set good, healthy boundaries with themselves. So that's some of the qualities of Neptune. And again, if it's conjoined the ascendant, the moon, the sun, those are some of the things that I look at very strongly. And we see, you know, again, Neptune is transiting through the sign of Aquarius right now as we speak. Then we look at the final planet, Pluto. And again, Pluto, I have Pluto rising in my chart, for example. Pluto close to the ascendant. And in my life, because Pluto is connected with death, I had, by the age of 3, 3 near-death experiences. I almost died when I was in the womb.
Mm-hmm.
I was in a car accident at the age of 1 year old, where I had my whole skull crushed into a windshield, and I was supposed to die, and they had to elevate the skull, you know, off my brain.
Oh.
So that's why I'm a little
So
strange.
Pluto is a destructive planet, actually.
It can be. And so it was again, and then I also had a thing where I dehydrated, where they had to feed me intravenously through my legs, through my thighs, because I was dehydrated very young. So, and I had actually, later in my life, I had a near-death experience where I left my body for a while. And it was a very powerful, very profound experience of kind of going to the other plane, going to the other side, so to speak, and experiencing the stillness, the quiet, the solitude, the brilliant peace that passeth all understanding. So I've had a number of these Pluto experiences in my life. So not all people that have Pluto on the ascendant may have as dramatic kinds of experiences, but again, it's very, very powerful planet of transformation. Now, if Pluto's conjoined the moon, again, there may be some intensity connected with the mother. Sometimes there can bring challenges with the mother. So again, this would be in the natal chart. So we look at Pluto to see if it's conjoined with any of the planets.
Yeah, my Pluto is with Jupiter.
It's with Jupiter. Interesting. Okay. Well, that would give you, it's interesting your talk, you know, because you're talking about moksha. And to me, in spirituality, and to me, the Pluto-Jupiter combination would indicate an interest in death, rebirth, and interest in the astral plane, and interest in other worldly kinds of things. And it gives you the power to research, to do deep research, because Pluto is also connected, I find, with research. So it's good for that aspect. Sometimes, I don't know if this is true for you, Sunilee, but I was just thinking, sometimes with Pluto Jupiter, it could indicate your Sat Guru is not in the body. Sometimes it can indicate that you contact teachers or gurus from the other planes.
Yes, this is true.
Is that true? Yeah. So you have that connection with with great Jyotishis, from the other worlds, Parashara or Jaimini or Sri
Exactly.
Yukteswar. Yogananda's guru is a great Jyotishi. So teachers from the other side, and this is true for me as well because of Pluto on the ascendant. I find, again, these connections with teachers from the other worlds.
Exactly. Whatever you said is totally agreeable to me, and I have experienced this with the great gurus which are not on this earth, but via astral thinking or via astral, astral travel also you can call it as. I have experienced it. I cannot spread it in the words, but I have experienced it, and it has been a very unique experience which I cannot forget throughout my life. Also, what I have experienced as I am into Jyotish Shastra, because I totally follow Paramparik Jyotish, but where I learned my astrology classes, I learned for 4 years here in Maharashtra. So then I got the title of Jyotish Bhushan. I studied for 4 whole years, 365 days. So that time in our fourth year class, we were taught about all these three outer planets.
Oh, really?
Yeah, here. So we were given all notes, all the charts with planetary positions. Like if Venus is with Neptune, then person will go for the love marriage because Neptune is a bigger form of moon. It is full of water. It is full of emotions. Like if your Mercury is with Herschel, what you call as a Uranus, so person is very interrogative nature or research oriented personality. Such people can become very good. They can do PhD, or they are good aeronautical engineers because they are keen to know the astronomy.
Interesting.
So many things we were taught in our classroom. So that time, first time I realized that yes, these three outer planets are also very important, even though they are quite far from all other common seven planets. But it plays an important role. And coming back to the Pluto and Jupiter, really I have experienced it. You are speaking the truth. That yes, it is happening, and it has happened.
Uranus too is connected in modern Western astrology with astrology. It's one of the significators of an astrologer is to have a prominent Uranus in the chart sometimes because it brings that connection, as you're saying, with innovation and.
My Uranus is with Jupiter only.
Okay, interesting. So, like I said, with Pluto it's interesting, Pluto was discovered in Flagstaff, Arizona, which is 45 minutes from Sedona. Yeah, 45 minutes. It was discovered at the Lowell Observatory, which is in Flagstaff, Arizona. And you can actually go up to the observatory. It's really beautiful. And see the telescope where it was discovered it was only discovered, Sunilee, back in 1930. So, it's really fairly, new in terms of its discovery,
So maybe this was the reason that I came to Sedona. See, everything is destined.
Yeah.
There are nimittas for everything.
And, you know, it'd be interesting that I was drawn to Sedona, you know, with Pluto being discovered and Pluto on my ascendant. So, and I've been here 25 years, you know. And I have to say about Sedona too, it's a little bit of a Pluto place, you know, it's very transformational, and it's tricky, actually, to be honest with you, to live here. Because like I said, you know, the Native Americans, they treated it as their temple. And so the energy is so strong, it's like a little bit like a pressure cooker here, you know?
Yeah.
So it cooks the karmas, you know, very strongly. So, you know, you can run, but you can't hide when Sedona, you know, the energies catch up with
No,
you.
actually, it is when you go to vortex over there. So what I experience, it is like taking a karmic bath. You know.
Correct, correct.
So whatever uh, carried forward karmas are there, we are just trying to utilize them in a better way, or trying to gain the energy to use it in a better way for a better life cycle with a good energy. So
Mhm.
really, it's very good.
You know, the other thing you can use the outer planets with, which Narendra Desai used this a
Mhm.
lot, is with relationship compatibility.
Yeah.
With relationship compatibility. So again, you can see he kind of treated them a little bit, he said, as somewhat challenging aspects. Like if your Pluto is on your mate's moon, for example, you may have a very intense power over her or him, to where it can also, you know, kind of affect them emotionally. So you have to be aware that your energy can be really big and bold for them, and sometimes it can be too bold, like a bulldozer, you know, be so strong that it's hard to live together. So these things can be looked at in terms of Vedic synastry and relationship compatibility as well. And I haven't used them as much in Muhurta, but again, they may have their say, of course, in Muhurta or even in Prashna as well. But to be honest, I haven't used them so much in that way. I've used them more with natal charts and with some with relationship compatibility, and then also with transits, you know. So, but again, I don't know if what I've said makes sense, or, you know,
No, no, really, it makes a lot of sense because, to be very honest, Dennis ji, in each and every chart, whatever I'm reading in my consultations, also in my research, also, I am accepting all these three planets and I am really studying it. Whenever I'm seeing the chart, I'll give you one example as you talked about the marriage compatibility. The person who is having Uranus in the seventh house, maybe
mm-hmm,
with planet or without planets. So most of the times the partner or spouse is keeping away from the another partner. You know,
interest.
that may be because of work also, or maybe the spouse is in the traveling work. Always he is away from the family. So,
Mm-hmm,
previously it was said that no, you will get separated. No, it is not like that. The separation is in the form of busy in work also.
interesting. Yeah.
So say somebody is in another city and spouse is in another city for work purpose or something. So Uranus is very important, and Uranus in ascendant also, a person is very strong-headed personality, or you can
Mm-hmm,
say very explosive personality. All of a sudden giving the reactions, because
correct.
Uranus have that power, and if it is with Moon, then immediately person will start crying,
Mm-hmm,
high
mm-hmm.
emotions, with high emotions. Even in normal terms also person starts crying while talking also. You know, person remembers all the things what happened in past and becomes nervous also very soon.
Right.
So
Well,
many
you know,
things are connected.
you mentioned Venus and Neptune conjunction,
Yes, yes.
and you know who has this in his chart is Prince Charles. Uh,
Oh,
and so sometimes Venus Neptune, it will indicate desiring the princess,
yeah.
you know, wanting the ideal woman, you know. And sometimes it can create some problems because the person will want to idealize the woman or the man, but then if they see their feet of clay, then they can be very critical. I think Venus Neptune is very good for artists, and I don't know if you know, but Prince Charles is a very good painter. He's
Yes.
very artistic man. But Venus with Uranus, for example, now that I connect up with sometimes people that make their own rules and norms about sexuality and about relationships. So sometimes, not always, of course, but sometimes a person may be gay. They may be even transgender, something, very unusual around their sexuality. Or they may just be a free spirit where it's hard for them to be just monogamous, just with one person. So they may, again, create their own rules. But like you said, it's kind of like Uranus in the 7th house. There may also be separations from their partner sometimes, because Venus is a karaka for the 7th house.
Yes.
And finally, Venus-Pluto conjunction, I find, can be connected with the myth of the sacred story of actually Pluto, of taking, how would we say, being kind of, how would we put it, abducted into the underworld. It's kind of connected with the myth of Persephone, when she was abducted by Pluto or Hades and taken down into the underworld. So sometimes these people can have relationships where they just lose themselves, where they're taken away, or, sometimes there can be some issues of sexual abuse with particularly women with Pluto, conjoined Venus. But it can even be in a man's case as well. But I find this, there can be some, vulnerability around sexuality with Pluto Venus. But it can be very powerful too. They may be into Tantra or some other spiritual practices with sexuality. And of course, at the end of the day, what really the true marriage is uniting our own feminine and masculine energy together within our own being. As Yogananda said, the divine romance. But these are some of the factors that I see with Venus with the outer planets.
Yeah, this really, really very, very gainful session this is going on, and these outer planets are really making sense, and they are really helping in some of the stunning predictions also. See, here whatever natural calamities are taking places in mundane Jyotish, in mundane astrology also, we consider Pluto and Neptune and even Uranus. All these three planets plays major role in mundane astrology also. So now the Uranus is with was with Mars for 45 days. So
Right.
many natural calamities took place here also, in India also. So this so many predictions or so many research we can just do with all these three planets and connectivity of these planets with other planets. So it was really a very wonderful session. It was a very fantastic talking to you, Mr. Dennis. And again, I will appeal each and everyone to attend the pilgrimage of Sedona and attend the Vedic Astrology Conference of Sedona, which is conducted by Mr. Dennis Harness. And thank you very much for coming on my channel.
Yeah, thank you so much, Sunilee. And I'm sure you'll put the website on, but it's just Sedona Vedic Astrology.com. And people can see the whole schedule and can book their rooms in terms of the beautiful resort, actually, that it's held in. Poco Diablo Resort is quite beautiful, very nice. And the prices for the rooms are very reasonable. So, and again, so all the information's on the website. And you can always contact me also too, personally at dennis@dennisharness.com. So you can contact me if you have any further questions.
Definitely, I'll put it in the description box so that anybody can contact you directly also by visiting your website. They can mail you also for further inquiries. So yes, see you soon, and thank you so very much. Namaste.
Namaste.